占就是宝的念，迄个聊天顶的传奇。
Stories and legends about heroes fighting injustice from different parts of the world are paradoxically different and quite similar at the same time. All of those, one way or another, remind us of Robin Hood, a poor man who's brave enough to fight against evil kings, invaders, or just the dishonorable rich. Taiwan is not an exception. So here we go, the debut project of the newly minted Taiwan developer Creative Games Computer Graphics Corporation. Yes, let's just hope that all of their creativity goes into their games. Anyway, despite the fact that this is their first game and usually it doesn't work out as a remarkable success, they got awarded with the 3rd place for Best Game and Best Story Game on Indie Arena Booth 2021, along with many other nominations of different categories. Got interested? Then get cozy, fetch a cup of cocoa or a beverage of your preference if you like, and let's go. As the name suggests, the Legend of Tianding is about the very same Taiwanese Robin Hood, which at the beginning of the 20th century fought against the Japanese who at that time were occupying Taiwan. So, what's on the list? Fight against the Japanese military forces, and then give money to the poor. Protect the city from criminals, and then give money to the poor. Survive duels with top-notch assassins. Have a ride on top of a train. Discover and open an ancient tome. Fly a glider. Have a try in a local version of poker or whatnot. Disguise yourself as a prostitute. And of course, give money to the poor. Regardless of the fact that the idea behind the story is rather simple and easy to be understood by whomever around the world, yet Asian vibe, well Taiwanese in particular, is ready to provide you with a couple of unexpected plot twists, give you a taste of local life and perhaps make you fall in love with the characters. Speaking of which, all of them are introduced rather briefly, quite simple, even superficially, with a slight smell of cliché, though after a few dozen deaths during boss fights, somehow you get attached and start worrying about those low-poly friends. Graphics. Whatever is happening in the game looks pretty good and full of life. The streets are stuffed with pedestrians waddling around, somebody's running, somebody's dancing, and of course there is always a guy who's ready to give us a couple of optional quests. Yeah, like there is a game without that. Well, in addition to the visual style, it's good to mention the sound design and music that works terrific bringing up the atmosphere. No matter where you are during a fight, a boss fight, or you're having a pleasant chit-chat in a calm, peaceful village, the whole thing sounds just marvelous, introducing you to the variety of local culture and flavors. The whole game just shouts right into your face. Our goal is to tell Taiwanese stories through games, which is, in fact, the slogan of the developers written on their website, so yeah, makes sense. Wherever you go, whatever you discover, or whomever you talk to, gets you to find out more about local customs, culture, traditions, and history, rather than just being purely ones and zeros on your screen. The art style of the game was inspired by Asian comics. It is a finger-crashing beat-em-up platformer in which whatever you do must look just, you know, cool. Super cool.
Ultra cool. Super Galaxy! Gurren Lagann!
Well, at least very exaggerated. And the art style chosen by the developers does quite a job in this behalf for sure. Battling local punks or someone more powerful will be using a rather laconic but still effective combat system. At first glance, the hero's skill set does not seem to be diverse and variable. Later, after we've already got stronger and opened all the abilities, unfortunately the variety still won't be there. Yes, you will get a couple of really cool moves of incredible kung fu masters. Or perhaps you're a one-punch man guy, then you will have a really good deal of his philosophy here as well. Yeah, it still doesn't look a lot, does it? However, when you find yourself in front of the first boss, the annoying easy to learn, hard to master will start itching your head from the inside. And don't forget about the sash, with which Tianding can borrow weapons from his opponents right in the middle of battle. Axes, spears, pistols, guns, even bazookas. Well, in one word, everything to stop you from getting bored in, to be honest, not that long game anyway. And of course, it's also way more effective than how the sash was used in the original game of 2004. The platformer part is quite related, while almost glued, to the combat system and vice versa. Every now and then, you will have to swing your legs in order to get to high cliffs, the hook will allow you to get away from foes, and sliding along the walls like a real meat boy, you can win a couple of precious seconds planning your next actions. The enemies, by the way, are not the brightest cookies on earth. Bosses, on the other hand, are complex, interesting, and challenging opponents. Each of them is unique, has several phases and patterns, though after you've learned them all, the bosses won't bring you more fear than your own stupidity. As in any other game out there on the market, our character has a developing curve. Giving the stolen money to the poor, the hero randomly receives a bonus to one or another characteristic. Each bonus is not that precious individually, but collect a significant amount of those, and the Avenger's life with the sash becomes much more easier. Also, don't forget about the magic amulet that will be kindly given to us along the story. The Taiwanese Robin Hood will be able to insert magic stones inside of it and get more noticeable and not so much bonuses. Unfortunately, while playing, I came across a tiny little bunch of harmless and not that harmless bugs. What upsets me more is the soft lock of one of the side quests in the sewers. No matter how many times I went there and left behind a spotless space, I still couldn't find the wine for one of the local merchants. As for the big problems, first of all, sometimes it's hard to control your character. Just for the record, I played on a gamepad, so I cannot say anything about the keyboard/mouse experience. Anyway, the fact that the strong combos with the leg directly depend on where the character is directed to, the game becomes slightly unpredictable. It is very sensitive to the tiniest movement of the analog sticks. Of course, eventually you get used to it and later you start to control your actions much better, but at the beginning it's a quite annoying thing. And for the seconds I have left you with dialogues and storytelling. As you may have already guessed, I played it in English, so maybe the dialogues are light years better in original than in English. But I can't check that, so here you go. The plot itself is good, sometimes even great, and at some points quite basic, which is yet not horrible, but the dialogues through which the story is presented are full of water and big words, as well as this review. Sometimes the game slows down so much that at some point you can completely forget that you're playing a nail-biting beat-em-up and not a visual novel with poorly, far from Tarantino's written dialogues. But despite all of these shortcomings, The Legend of Tianding is a good, strong representative of its genre. As soon as you get used to the timings and catch the flow, the game immediately changes and starts bringing you joy and fun. This is not an innovative project, not a revolution of the genre, yet in the meantime it works as it's supposed to, and everything looks and feels just natural. This is a great start for a young and ambitious team. I hope that we will see more and more remarkable projects from this studio. If you like the game, you can support the developers with a penny. And if you like the video, you can support me with a like and a kind comment. See you the next time. Bye!
站就是无的念，迄个聊天顶的传奇。